Hi there, you're on Gossip Says channel. Enjoy watching, subscribe and like it. It's growing our community.
Story 1. I went on a date with my crush and didn't realize it till 12 years later. Story 1. I went on a date with my crush and didn't realize it till 12 years later. I don't think anyone in his life had really taken much interest in what he was doing and hadn't had anyone ask many questions about it. So we talked a lot about that. And cue 15-year-old me getting a crush on this 19-year-old dude. I knew he was a TA, but didn't stop my little crush from existing. Senior year of high school, I was in drama. I told him he should come see the musical he was in, and he said sure. He and two of his friends, also TAs in the program, came. I was surprised and so excited he came, cheered me on, etc. My parents were there, and had met him many times due to the academic program I was in. They both liked him, and chatted with him while everyone was there for the play. Mom thought he was great. I should also add that I was aware of the age difference, and knew he was a TA so that it was inappropriate for him to fraternize with students in the program. Rightfully so, but still, it made me smile. So I graduate high school, and now I'm in college. Same college he is. I'm a freshman, he's a senior. His major was in media, and his senior project was to do a short film. His concept was to do a nature documentary, but instead of an animal, to have the high school freshman as the subject in question. It was a funny kind of short film, observing the freshman in his natural habitat. He asked me if I'd be in it, and asked if I'd play the love interest of the freshman. I was totally down and agreed. While we at one of the locations filming scenes, I mentioned my boyfriend I had just started dating. I was like, hey, do you know so-and-so? They were from the same county, so I thought they might know each other. Because, as I remind you, in my mind, he was still a TA, and I had carried that crush for him for so long, I had internalized nothing would ever come of it. So I did, in fact, have a boyfriend. When I asked him if he knew the guy, he just had this expression of sadness and confusion. I remember thinking that maybe he just didn't like the fellow, knew something about him, or whatever. But the moment passed, everything continued. Had a good time. The film was finished up some weeks later, and he invited me to his class to see everyone's films and to watch it. By that time, I had broken up with my boyfriend because we were just too dissimilar. In one of my classes, modern drama, we had been assigned to go watch a play that we had read in class, and that was being performed on campus. We were to write a review. The play was called For Love. Now, I am a dense human being, oblivious, just absolutely in my own head sometimes. But I was talking about it with him, and mentioned he had wanted to go see it, suggested we go together, and so we go. We watched this romantic play together. It was kind of a bad performance, but that's neither here nor there. But he walks me back to his dorm. I remember there being this awkward moment where he's looking at me, and there's this kind of lingering moment. I wasn't sure what he was waiting for, because we were at my dorm. So I just kind of rocked back and forth on my heels and was like, well, I'll talk to you later. And I walked back to my dorm. He graduated after that, went on to get his master's. We chatted off and on after that, but lost touch after a while. I would occasionally think of my very good friend, Anderson the TA, and would look him up on Facebook from time to time. Got married, is a professor somewhere, 3 kids, great life. And so a couple years ago, I was telling someone this story and it just hit me. It slapped me right in the face. It was like the heavens opened up and shined a light upon me. I realized I went on a whole last date with Anderson and didn't realize that that's what it was, and that he liked me too. That I had played his freaking love interest in his short film and dropped the hey I'm dating someone ball on him. I was just so, he's 4 years older. He's a TA. It's inappropriate. Even though now we're both in college, there's no way on earth he'd be interested. Me having this crush is so silly. I brought all that up last week. We were talking about when I was going to settle down and get married, etc., etc. She said she had always wanted me to get with that really nice boy from that program. We always liked him. You know, the one you went on a date with that you didn't know was a date. Oh my God, stop reminding me. I don't know if this is spicy take or if people will claim he was trying to groom me, but he wasn't. Nothing weird going on, I swear. Story 2. I feel tired and unappreciated in my relationship. This is going to be long because I have a lot in me and I need to vent. I'm a PhD student. I have a job that pays the bills and some basic comforts and stuff, but not a lot more than just that. And I'm taking French classes 3 times a week to master it as a 4th language for my PhD research. On top of that, I also got a job as a part-time temporary professor at a university for this semester. I'm part of a research group with my PhD mentor, and I accompany one of their classes for bachelor students as part of my activities. I'm also part of the Students' Council. So, as you may think, I'm extremely dedicated. But at the same time that I'm sort of an overachiever in terms of prestige, I had the highest grades among the candidates for the PhD program. The university is ranked as one of the best in the world. During my master's degree, I had basically double the number of articles/academic publications required. Still in my late 20s, etc. I also feel unappreciated by my girlfriend and frustrated because it seems like I'm never enough because of how I'm treated. And of course, not making much money plays a role in it too. I live with my girlfriend, and then on top of doing all of those things, I also try to take care of half the stuff in our house. Common stuff, of course. But in the end, it's exhausting. Cleaning the house, cooking, washing the dishes, grocery shopping, planning our weekly menu, etc., etc. The thing is, she's constantly unsatisfied with what I do for us and our house. And I admit it that I was not always optimal and attentive to everything. But I've completely changed throughout the course of a year or so. On the other hand, I see very little difference in how I was treated then and now. And it's not like I don't do stuff, or that I don't do them right. It's just that every now and then, like once every 3 days or once a week or whatever, I mess something up like anyone else would, nothing out of the ordinary. Mainly forgetting small stuff, like forgetting to wash a pair of socks when doing the laundry, or forgetting to buy sparkling water when making groceries. Minuscule things that wouldn't deserve more than a shrug turn into a full-on argument. And she often yells at me. I absolutely fucking hate yelling and unnecessary loud noises, and she knows this. There's often this atmosphere of conflict because it doesn't matter if I do everything right, if there's a single small mistake, or even worse, if there's something I did my way that was not quite the way my girlfriend would have done, or that she thinks there'd be a better way of doing it. That's enough for her to start complaining. Also, although I'm very sexual, we rarely have sex. Like maybe once a month at best. It's hard not to compare it to previous relationships I've had in the past. I've had 4 girlfriends before. It was never like this. I didn't even live together with my ex, and we had sex 5 or 6 times a week on average. Months ago, I basically gave up trying to initiate anything because she'd say she needed space, and that she would come after me. The result is that she almost never does, so that's it. I'm constantly frustrated because as much as I work hard, I'm always worried about not making enough money to pay for rent, even with the new temporary job as a professor. It's temporary, and going by the contract, I'll only get the money some 3 months from now. I feel like I'm always trying my best and still being treated poorly by my girlfriend. I don't get much love from her. We barely have any sex. I don't feel appreciated greater than 90% of the time. Pretty much nothing I do seems to be worthy for her. It seems like for her, nothing that I do or like is interesting. The movies I like are boring. The music I like is not cool. The books I read are too complicated. The restaurants I'd like to go are not as good and hype as the ones she goes to. The podcasts I listen to are boring. It seems like for her, I'm the most boring and uninteresting person in the world. And I know that's not true. I know I'm not boring. I'm extremely outgoing. I make friends with everyone. And people always get super interested talking to me about movies, about music, photography, a hobby of mine. Even about stuff like my research and so on. I normally dive deep into my interests, follow recommendations people give me, etc., so I tend to have a very diverse and profound knowledge on music and movies and books, etc., which for most people is really cool and involving. But nowadays, I tend to not talk about these stuff with my girlfriend because she seems bored/not interested, and I fear turning into someone else, invalidating myself. I'm a person who likes to talk a lot with a lot of people. I like books and movies and music and academic research and photography and riding bikes and a shitload of stuff. And I love talking about it. and I love listening to people tell me about their interests and passions and so on. I don't want her to kill that in me, and I fear it might happen because of how she shuns me down. I feel validated by basically everyone else except for her, which is what keeps me from believing I'm this boring, inconvenient person. At the same time, not getting this from the person you love and live with plays an undeniably important role. Also, I'm not a conventional beauty like a Calvin Klein model. I'm more on the alternative side of looks, but a good portion of people find me handsome. I've never had trouble getting involved with people I've wanted to, etc. Being interesting and easygoing always helped a lot too. So I know I could be with someone else who would truly appreciate me and make me feel good about myself. This week, I went out with a bunch of other PhD students, and I talked a lot to a friend about everything, from music to making drinks to books to telling funny stories and so on. It was very pleasant. After a while, this friend asked me on a date. She knew I had a girlfriend, but she thought we had an open relationship. And in times like these, I ponder if I'm not wasting my time with this relationship, which, from this text, seems kinda obvious, to be fair, when I could have a healthier one with another person if I were open for it. Even though I mention lots of bad stuff, I love my girlfriend a lot. But the good times are always outweighed by these bad ones, and as much as I love her a lot, I feel more and more that it's not worth it. I love her, but I don't want to waste my late 20s working hard as hell while not being appreciated, not receiving the love I deserve, not having sex, feeling like I'm not enough even though I'm recognized by pretty much everyone else as an overachiever. And the way she treats me is fucking draining. I'm often exhausted from all the stuff I do. I feel like she takes away even the will I have to do anything about this situation. I'm tired of trying to make things work out, because it doesn't really matter if I correct my flaws, as I did, I'm still treated the same way. I'm on my last straw. I'm one step away from walking away from this relationship. Enduring my routine is hard and exhausting, and if it's yet another vector of stress and demands instead of being a place of support and appreciation, then I'll have to make the decision to let it all behind. It doesn't matter how much I love my girlfriend. Maybe I just needed to vent, but I'd appreciate other perspectives and insights on this situation. Thanks in advance. Story 3. Dating girl that suffers from bulimia and suddenly starts acting weird. I started M18, talking to this girl, Fatine, about 6 months ago by Tinder. She's from a place 2 hours by car from me. We don't have driving license yet. It has been 6 months of intense emotions. I met her when she was in the hospital due to a bulimia she was going through. Even though I found out about it, I kept talking to her every weekend. In the hospital, she was not allowed to use her cell phone during the week. So I kept talking to her until I saw her get out and achieve her main goal. I became her best friend and practically the only one she could trust due to the unconditional support I had given her. We were friends, but we knew that without the distance between us, we would be something more. Despite the insinuations on her part, I was close to a long-distance relationship. I said no, that it was not viable, and she did see it. During this time, due to her illness and her insecurities, she has not talked to any guy or done anything. She is even a virgin because her ex forced her to have sex, and she could not because she was so nervous. I, however, did talk to people, and she supported me even though I knew it fucked her up because she wanted to be with me. During last September, we started talking closer, more like a couple, telling each other I love you and being cheesy. She fantasized about starting a family, wrote me nice texts, phrases like, I don't know if you'll be the love of my life, but I'm sure you're my soulmate. Or things like, I'm afraid to have sex, but if there's one thing I know, it's that I want to lose that fear with you. Not at all friendly phrases, which pointed to something else. Last weekend I went to visit her for the first time and I fell in love. I expected her to be much less attractive. It was something magical. The connection between us was great. We laughed together, we kissed, we walked hand in hand. We didn't have sex despite sleeping in the same bed 2 nights. We even had to hide from her parents. She studies in another city. She is in a student apartment, and her parents happened to visit her that day without warning. It was a memorable experience that I will never forget. Monday arrives. I notice her strange, cold, dry. She responds every so often. and confesses to me in the afternoon that her psychologist thinks it is best not to have physical contact with boys. That smelled to me like an excuse, because if you really like someone, you don't care if he is at a distance or not, and I, who have supported her in all her downs due to illness. I call her on Tuesday, and she tells me that she only sees me as a friend, that when she talked to me with other girls, she got used to being just my friend. I was shocked. She makes me go to her city, knowing that we are more than just friends, to tell me the next day that she only wants to be best friends. On the Saturday, I was with her, the last night sleeping together. For example, she relapsed in front of me, broke down, and cried in front of me, telling me that I was hoping to have sex with her and she couldn't, and she got sad thinking that I would care. She also said that she was afraid of hurting me, that when she is that bad, she is very mean, that she is not very affectionate, that it is hard for her to be affectionate, that she is afraid of relapsing because of me if I don't want her to. She is very insecure. We have given ourselves an indefinite period of time to talk again. She seems sure of what she wants, but I fear that she is only telling me this out of fear because of her illness, fear that I will leave her, fear of relapse. I feel that I am the perfect person to help her, and I feel that if I repeat myself to her, I will eventually tire her out. She acts cold, different, distant with me. I don't know whether to wait for her to take a step or what to do. I don't know whether to forget about her. It's hard, but all I want is to live that weekend forever. I want to help her and support her in everything she does. I want to continue to stay and enjoy being with her as more than just friends, because a friendship would kill me inside. I'm confused. I don't know what to think. Why is she changing her mind so radically? Is she really feeling that, or is just 'cause her issue